Love, light, and blessings. This is Shamanic Awak Priestess here. And yesterday, I posted on my community tabs a post about how the term voodoo doll, VOODO, so VOODO, is actually derogatory and has a racist history, and that I would prefer that people stops using that in a derogatory way on YouTube. It was kind of a request. And while a lot of people were very supportive and things of that nature, there was also many that were not. And I had to constantly delete comments on there from people that were angry, being mean to me, and pretty much attacking my person. Someone else, I deleted their comment. I highly respect them, so I'm not coming for them. But they were like, that's what we say in our culture too. I'm not going to say who that person was. And that's misinformation because that person doesn't even practice, actually. They practice more paganism and things like that. So even though you may use that in your culture, there's a lot of derogatory words that many people, even people of color, use in the culture. And some people use them for the purposes of empowerment and taking the word back because they understand it had a racist connotation. And I'm nobody to judge that. If you want to take a negative term and use it in a positive way, that's wonderful and that's excellent. Yeah. Just like some people, the word witch in many cultures has a derogatory origin, and people have decided to take the word witch back. We have to understand that words have power. Even the term black magic, and I did a very elaborate video on that, has a racist history. And a lot of people of color have used it because sometimes through time, like histories of things or the origin of a word may get lost. But that doesn't change historical facts. This is not an opinion. This is factual. They did have in Nigeria dolls that were used for healing purposes that they did stick pins in African traditional religious practices. But they were not called VOODO voodoo dolls. Voodoo dolls, the way that we know voodoo dolls now here in the West, here in America, actually got its origin from Europe. Okay, it was a doll that was used in England to hex people with them. So in English witchcraft, okay, they would take a doll made out of material and they would stick pins in the doll for the purposes of curses. Okay, so spiritual dolls and hexing dolls have existed for a long, long time outside of Haitians and Africa and things of that nature. A lot of people use puppets, spiritual dolls, to hex people, heal people, and all these things. That is not what I'm disputing. I'm disputing the term voodoo doll, VOODO, as the way they use it in Chucky when they were using African deities and being rude and confusing Orishas and Loas, which I see a lot of people doing, which are two different entities, Santeria, Ifa. They're not the same thing. And voodoo is voodoo. And voodoo in a lot of African traditions are not spelled with VOODO. That's more of a Louisiana, New Orleans term. That is not what I practice. That's a different form. There's many various different forms of voodoo, and the voodoo I was talking about was Haiti, as it is a birthright of mine because my mother is Haitian and my grandfather is Haitian. My father is Puerto Rican. Okay, so that's why I felt that I had to defend that, because what happened was I am not someone, I wish I was, but I'm not. Okay, my ancestors did not have the beautiful privilege, like not privilege, that's the wrong word to use, but they didn't get to stay in Africa. They were taken into the New World, into the Caribbean, okay? And my ancestors were enslaved. And you might say, well, that was a long time ago, and I respect and understand that. But let me show you how close to that pain and why I am very protective of the religions. My great grandmother, so my grandmother's mother, was literally entered into a legal contract. Basically, my great grandmother signed her mixed daughter over to a Caucasian man for the intentions of her living with him in a legal agreement. I'm only 40 years old, so this is not that far removed. At the age of 9. So imagine that you're so impoverished as a black woman, because my great grandmother was a black woman, that you have to sign away your daughter at 9 years old to enter a legal binding contract with a European man so that he could provide a home for your daughter in exchange that he's going to take that woman, which wasn't a woman, it was a 9-year-old, as his mistress. She would never be allowed to marry him because she was classified. You were classified. Look it up. It's part of Puerto Rican history. You either classified yourself as W, white, or colored, which included anyone of African or native Taino descent. He was either white or other, which colored. She was not allowed to have an education, and she bore his children, and it was known that she would never have the full-on legal rights. Things like that also happened in New Orleans with the mixed population, because my great grandmother was violated by an employer that she worked for as a maid, and that's how my great grandmother was conceived. That's how my blood started to get mixed down. But my great grandmother practiced our spirituality. My great grandmother practiced that spirituality. It's what helped her survive at the age of 9 until my great grandfather passed away. Thank goodness he was not a good person. He was a very abusive man. Until he passed away, her magical practices helped her to survive that. And my great grandmother was the daughter of slaves, because she was born in the late 1800s. So slavery and conjuntos conjugal, living together without being married, contracts that people enter at the time, is not that far removed. As a matter of fact, my grandmother classified herself as colored and then ended up changing her, what they would characterize. She chose white. She decided to white pass because she was already even more mixed down. Some of the kids were able to pass and some of them weren't. There was a lot of people of African descent that if they were able to pass, they chose to pass themselves off. Because she was 16 years old and uneducated. She was the first person. My grandmother was the first person in our family, on my mother's side, that was allowed to legally marry. And she married a Spaniard, separated from that Spaniard, and that's where my mother was conceived, because she ended up falling in love with a Haitian, never able to legally marry him. My mother was literally what you would call a love child. And it's not because I'm putting my business out there. I'm trying to explain to you why it's so important when I correct people. It's not because I'm racist. It's not because I'm angry. It's because I'm trying to educate. So if we know things, then we do better. If we know better, we do better. And the term voodoo, when it started coming into our culture, because we did not call them before colonization voodoo dolls. Voodoo dolls came after colonization, because as many people know, unfortunately, there are certain parts of Africa that were colonized, and other religions from other parts of the world were forced upon the people. Not just in Africa, in the Caribbean and other places. So what did the Afro-Caribbean people do? They synchronized their religious beliefs with the dominating culture in order to let it survive and for their deities not to die with them. When the colonizers, when the oppressors, when the slave owners saw that they would make dolls, they termed the word voodoo dolls. Voodoo dolls, with the needles and everything else, actually came from England. And it's a term that a lot of people use in like all cultures, all over the color spectrum. It's just something like black magic that everybody uses the term. But voodoo doll in its root was made derogatory because it was a way that they would explain the primitive practices of the slaves in the slave quarters. It was misunderstood. Voodoo is a very misunderstood religion. And even to this day, they're trying to colonize Haiti because Haiti was the first black nation that slaves freed themselves through the rituals of voodoo, to petitioning the Petro spirits. It's why to this day in Haiti, when you want to summon the Petro spirits, you are cracking a whip, because that's the symbolism of the Petro spirits. The Petro spirits are the spirits of the Congo, of the spirits of the Igbos that rather have died and plunged themselves to the deepest oceans of oceans so they would not be slaves. To the point where people didn't even want to catch the Igbos anymore because they were like, they just want to keep killing themselves. You know? So this is why I said voodoo doll, the way they use it with the two O's and the D-O's, is derogatory. Is why in Haiti they call it puppet. They use, I don't have the French accent, unfortunately. I wasn't taught the best French Creole growing up, because my mother was around the time when people were ashamed to say they were Haitian because of all the oppression. My mom was around in the 1950s, and things were not that great back then. So I understand she had the best of intentions with us. I understand why she married the man that she married. I understand that she tried to line up her children because of my family history. I understand all that. And so I'm trying to, in my generation with my children, instill pride in their religious practice like anybody else would do, and let them know you don't have to remain silent or quiet. If something is wrong, you stand up for it, no matter what the backlash is. And that's basically what I wanted to do. That in the term, the way they use the word voodoo doll has always been, if you Google voodoo doll on YouTube, on Google, you're going to see a lot of silliness, a lot of Hollywood things. And that's why that term bothers me. If you want to take the word back, take the word back. You can do what you want to do. But what I'm saying is, I find it offensive, and I feel like I have the right to say, hey, this offends me, on my own channel and community tab, without getting personal attacks or people trying to prove me wrong, when I have actually not just spiritually studied religious practices from different parts of the world. I have also have a college degree, and I also studied religions from other parts of the world in college. I do have a college education. So it just annoys me that people want to come for me when that's not even a big part of Haitian voodoo. When I said the comment, I said Haitian voodoo. I made sure I put the word Haitian. I was not talking about voodoo from Africa, because that is not the type of voodoo that I practice. That's a different type of voodoo in Nigeria from the Fon and the U people. I think that's how you say it. I might have been pronouncing it EWE. I'm talking about Haitian voodoo, where is how it's practiced in Haiti. We even have different loas that we serve in Haiti that are directly from Haiti that you will not find in various parts of Africa, because they were born in Haiti and they came about in Haiti because they're predominantly in Haiti. You do have loas like Ogun that are from Nigeria, okay, and came down through the transatlantic slave trade and are served in Haiti. But you also have other loas that are just only in Haiti that other people outside of Haiti don't know who they are, because there's over 100 and something loas that are served in Haiti. Same thing with Santeria. There's Orishas that only certain parts of Africa serve, if they're the people of the Yoruba, that are not exactly the same as the Orishas that they serve in the Afro-Caribbean spirituality. When I'm speaking on this channel and I say African traditional religions, I am talking about the Afro-Caribbean religions of the islands, such as Puerto Rico and Haiti, which is my lineage and my culture. I'm not lumping it all together, so stop lumping it all together. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about, in my experience, from my teaching and my initiations. So please, I'm not trying to create a fight. It was a comment on my community page. People make comments on the community page all the time. But it's just been It's been hard these last 2 years because so many people come at me. So many people come angry. So many people, it's just so much anger, and it's ridiculous. And a lot of times I just either delete or mute because I'm not going to sit here and feed into trolls and argue with people. Okay? I'm going to assert my freedom to talk freely in my space. Okay? This is an open place with love. Anybody who ever has felt excluded, who has ever felt like an outcast, is more than welcome to my channel. But stop personally attacking me and disguising it as a friendly comment. Do your research. Don't try to prove me wrong when you have done no research, because just the spelling of the word that you use to call the dolls lets me know that you don't really practice, because that's an incorrect spelling. I've actually studied voodoo from Nigeria. I have friends that are Nigerian that pretty much still live in Nigeria, and clients, and I wanted to make sure that what I said was true. And they said, no, we don't have voodoo dolls. There's a different name that they call it, and I can't think of the name right now, but they were not called voodoo dolls. Voodoo dolls was termed by the Europeans when they saw us making the spirit dolls. Okay, because they had similar practices. Spirit dolls and hexing dolls and cursing is not just from one culture. Many cultures, just like spell jars, we had hula lamps. People, other people from outside cultures used oil lamps too. So a lot of magical traditions, if we start really going back into history, we have a lot more that unites us than separates us. But language is important. It's just like, okay, Romani people that I've talked to, because I have clients from all over the world, really hate the word gypsy, and that's used a lot on YouTube. And they consider it a racist term. And people get upset when someone says, please don't say that word. You know what I mean? I'm Romani. And if a Romani person wants to use that word, they can do that because it's their word to use. Just like they have some really not nice words for brown people. And sometimes brown people choose to use the word because they want to take its power back. Whether you agree with that or not, it's not the point of this video. The point of this video is, instead of attacking each other, if someone says this is offensive to me, respect that. You know, respect that. There's people that get offended because they might be of a certain size, body size, and they're like, I'm tired of looking at skinny people. You know, they have the right to feel that way. Or someone who's part of the LGBTQIA plus, and they're like, hey, do you ever have anybody who's just not male or female? Like, we have the right to express our feelings, especially in our channels. When I don't agree with the opinion of somebody on a channel, I don't even fight with them on the comment section. I just make either a video about it and I don't mention their name, or I make comments on my community page, because that's my space for me to communicate my feelings. Like, why are we fighting on people's channels? Why are you taking time out of your day to attack me personally because I made a comment that's actually based on facts? Okay? So anyways, much love, much light, much blessing. Thank you so much for watching this video. And until the next video, guys, love and peace. And their puppets. Bye.